Hi. The question, what came first, the chicken or the egg, is a very popular culture in media, and it has a good value in terms of a thinking exercise. If you watch some sort of scientific content or you're just studying that for whatever reason, you would know how evolution and adaptation works. Because of a certain environment, a creature adapts, and that manifests itself in terms of how it looks, in terms of its genes over the generations. And the way this happens is that the thing that gave birth, the thing that laid the egg, which resulted in the chicken, was not a chicken. So you would know that humans came from monkeys, from primates, and whatever gave birth to us after potentially thousands of years of evolution, we at one point could no longer be specified as primates because we had deviated, speciated towards humanity, towards sapiens, etc. So the same thing applies here. And the way that I think about it in terms of identity, which is the question changes to what came first, the belief that you can be, let's say, a millionaire, or the actual physical proof, which is something like you having a yacht, you having a certain amount of money in your bank account or whatever, that came first, or the belief that you are a millionaire. So this is a question which is hotly debated. Some people say fake it till you make it. Some people call it manifestation or affirmation. Some people say that identities are like a clump of sand, and you can let go of whichever part you wish and keep whichever part you want. Maybe pick up some more sand of your choices, yada yada yada. And the way that you think about it can greatly impact how you approach it. So, in terms of beliefs, as long as it's possible in the material universe under the laws of physics, which for our purposes we need to only look at for Newtonian laws, this is very much possible, and it can work as long as you believe in it. Now, you may say that this is just some uh, Naruto crap, which is like, yeah, believe it, I'll believe it, and then it'll happen. No, it doesn't necessarily work that way. But it's more like, if you believe it, you will take action which is motivated by that belief, and as a result, you will manifest that into reality. I believe that in the next 5 seconds, I will unclump this hand and I will open it up wide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I opened it. And as you can see, I believed that I could do it, and hence I did it. There are plenty of people who unfortunately go through some traumatic event and find themselves psychologically paralyzed and unable to move their legs for whatever reason. There's plenty of things like that. So if you believe that it's impossible for you to be a millionaire, and trust me, you will find plenty of reasons like, look at the economy, there's a damn war going on, something else happened, my grandma died, my dog has a hole in his balls or something. I'm just making some random crap up. You will have plenty of excuses to not perform. But if you say that in spite of that, I can still perform, I can still achieve that, then you will act with that confidence in your mind, and you will take action. The way that my mentor, my business mentor, put it, Charlie Morgan, is we have experiences, and the way we interpret those experiences causes changes in our paradigm, which is basically the way that you look at the world, the way that you look at your self image. It's a collection of all of the beliefs we hold about ourselves, about the world, and how this results in us taking action. So, as I said, we have experiences, we interpret these experiences. The interpretation then becomes a belief, and the belief causes a paradigm. The paradigm then results in your thoughts, and the thoughts result in what you see as your potential choices. So, for example, let's say that I have to solve something, right? And it requires potentially algebra. I don't know algebra. That would be really sad if I didn't know that. But let's say I don't know algebra. If I don't have the paradigm of algebra in my mind, I wouldn't even consider that. And or if I consider it too hard for me, I wouldn't even consider that in my decision making, and hence I would not use that, which was in reality the solution. This is called lateral thinking, which is basically seeing what potential ways could you approach this same question and have different perspectives on it. So let's say in terms of economics, there's Miesian schools, there's the Austrian school, there's the communist, the Chinese communism, if you can call that communism. There's plenty of different approaches to economy. Some say that it shouldn't exist, like the what's it called, the theocratics, the imperialists, the autocratics, or anything else like uh, the guys who want to go back to monkey or whatever. So there's plenty of beliefs, plenty of opinions around that, and people have different opinions. If you only look at your perspective, then you will not be able to see the right perspective or get closer to reality, because guess what, everyone is biased. But if we look at how everyone is seeing things, we can get a more useful perspective of reality, which is more biased towards objective reality and practicality. So this is what you need to look at. Now people can say that, again, as I said, people can say that affirmation works, people can say meditation works, people can say that just making a 30 page transcendence workbook, which is basically your dream reality with like a vision board with a bunch of these things, works. All of these can work as long as you believe in them. All of these can result in you believing that you can become a millionaire or whatever else you want, and hence you take action with that confidence in mind, and hence the reality slowly starts to manifest, and hence that results in you getting that thing that you want until you eventually have it. The chicken was made because the egg was laid over and over and over and over again until eventually the thing that came out resembled nothing to the thing which laid it. This is what mutation is called, this is what adaptation is, this is what evolutionary forces are. So, if you can just change your environment, your mental environment slowly in terms of what beliefs you introduce, what beliefs you actually believe, then that would result in you taking action. As I said, you have interpretation, interpretation is our belief, beliefs result in your paradigm, which is your total worldview of reality and your self image. This results in the options that you see and the thoughts that you have. The options result in your decisions, decisions result in your actions, actions result in your goal lifestyle. And again, you may say that this cannot happen because of this, that, yada yada yada. But I am betting that there's probably 100 people who became millionaires or whatever during the Iran war, during COVID, during practically anything. You don't have to use these things as an excuse. You choose to use these things as an excuse to confirm your current belief about reality, which is it cannot be done because of XYZ factors. Whether you continue to hold it or you choose to remove them and see that, okay, the only limiting factor right here is me and my unwillingness to learn how to do that or take action, then you will not get that. The same applies to a great degree in regards to addiction, because we can say the alcohol made me do it, this made me do that, but with the latest evidence that's coming out in regards to addiction, you see that alcohol isn't as powerful. Our very definition, the scientists are confounded because they've gone in with so much bias in regards to addiction. They've thought that you have an allergy to it, you have a biological inclination to it, yet they see that so many people with biological inclinations with GABA or whatever, with alcohol, quit. They see that even people with using hardcore drugs still quit. How can that be done when Alcoholics Anonymous, for the most part, doesn't suggest drugs, doesn't suggest any of that, but instead just asks you to sit and talk? How can that be done? Now, of course, there's people who are suggesting drug treatment, but at the end of the day, how can that be done if you don't want to do it? How can that be done if you don't see the value in it? And you firstly need to change your mind in order to change your reality. And this can be hard for many people. So for some people it's just like this, because they weren't really attached to the specific component or part of reality. For example, let's say that I told you that female hyenas have phallic objects, and I'm not kidding about that. You probably don't really think too much about that, right? So you may be a little bit flabbergasted. You may be thinking, what the hell is he talking about? But if you actually look it up and you see what the poor male hyenas have to go through, then you may find that, yeah, that's actually true. I guess I'll accept that and move on with my day. This, it's things like that which you aren't really invested in, which are very easy to change. So but why are things which you're very invested in terms of emotions, in terms of such things, that you find it hard to change? Because you are too biased, too, what's the word? Too removed from objective reality, and I mean this in the most objective way. You are too removed from seeing objective reality because you've been seeing things through your subjective lens for far too long, unable to see that perhaps the one that you've had, the one that you may have learned from your parents, may have learned from your social environment, which may have even been rewarded by your social environment, may be wrong. So I want you to consider that, and I want you to see, it is what I believe actually true. Is sales perhaps really that bad? Is research and development really hard? Is all of the business terms which you hear of but you may take no time to understand really that complex? Or are they just showing and explaining basic calculations like division, multiplication, addition, etc.? Well, that's all, and I hope you have a good day. Cheers.